Everyone trains to hit the chin, the jaw, or the body, but they ignore the one target that ends the fight instantly. One strike to this target and nothing else matters. Let's check it out. When you're fighting for your life, you must attack what can't be conditioned, blocked, or ignored. The eyes are the most vulnerable target on the human body. There's no muscle shielding them, no training to toughen them, and no defense once you're in range. Strike the eyes and you steal their vision, trigger panic, confusion, and instinctive retreat. Most instructors won't even touch this subject, either because they don't understand it or they're too afraid of the legal and ethical gray areas. But I'm going to show you exactly how to weaponize this target, when to use it, and why it works when nothing else will. Keep in mind that all eye attacks carry the risk of serious injury, including permanent vision loss. Eye attacks should only be used when legally justified and absolutely necessary for your safety and survival. Attacking the eyes is predicated on a variety of factors. Some include the angle and range, also the use of force justification. Now, Tommy, come on out. So we have a pre-contact situation where I have the luxury of assuming a stance and attempting to de-escalate the situation. Tommy's going to be approximately in the punching range. Now, as I diffuse the situation, again, the finger jab is a phenomenal technique to cause a probable reaction dynamic that you can exploit. Now, understand this. If I throw a finger jab at Tommy, okay, you have to understand, it's not going to vanquish your adversary. He's not going to just stop and the fight is over. This is going to be built upon, okay? So if I throw that finger jab on him, I have to follow up with something else. Now I've got a moment, I've got a window of opportunity, and this is where you can exploit his probable reaction dynamics. Now, what are the common reactions to a finger jab? Well, in order to answer that, you have to understand, what does the finger jab do to the eyes? First of all, it impairs vision. You cannot see what the hell is going on. Have you guys ever had like something fly into your eye, an insect flying into your eye, and everything has to stop until you deal with that issue? Well, just imagine a very forceful, deliberate strike on the eyes. Just imagine. Now, forget about the impaired vision. What about the excruciating pain that occurs when delivering a finger jab to the eyes? I'm telling you, it's completely unbearable. Now, the moment you throw that finger jab, that's that window that you can exploit. Now, back to probable reaction dynamics. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So, what are the different things that Tommy probably would do when he receives a finger jab? Now, this is based on personal experience that I have encountered when I delivered finger jabs in fights. One of the number one things they do is they cover their face. It's just a reactionary response when they feel that pain. So let's see how it works. I'm de-escalating, I launch that finger jab to Tommy's eyes, and he covers his face like such. So obviously, throwing a fisted blow to his head is not going to be an ideal target because he's covering what we call the facial mask. You can circumvent and throw hooks. You can certainly throw an uppercut, assuming that there's a gap for the chin to be hit. But just understand that when you're practicing these techniques, you have to understand what the probable reaction dynamic would be. So let's try it again. From here, I launch a finger jab, he covers. And again, we can come under and we can come across. Another probable reaction dynamic is they reel back. So when I throw the finger jab, they go back. That could deliver a body shot to either the solar plexus or to the ribs, or even in some cases, if he starts to come forward after that, then you have your uppercut. What I'm trying to emphasize is number one, the finger jab is not going to vanquish him where it's all over, okay? The finger jab is going to set up a much broader picture in terms of a compound attack. Another probable reaction dynamic from a finger jab strike at this particular range is Tommy can actually cling on to me. Now think about this for a second. If you and I are in a fight and I take away your vision, you're either going to try to escape from the situation completely or you're going to latch onto me because you can't see anymore. At least temporarily, you cannot. So you're going to hold on to me and use tactile sensitivity or tactile control to at least try to have some sort of control of the situation. So for example, I'm de-escalating. I launch the finger jab strike, and instead of Tommy reeling back or covering his face, he's going to rush onto me. Now this happens. This has happened to me because they panic. They want to hold on to something. If they can't see me, at least they can try to control me. So when that happens, we're now in a clinch situation, and that's where you can deliver close quarter techniques. So after delivering the finger jab and Tommy grabs hold of me, it's really important to engage the clinch. Now, I've talked about this a lot, about acquiring the inside position. Okay, so if Tommy had the inside position, believe it or not, he's got control over me, he's got the leverage. So when he does engage in that clinch, you want to get on the inside position. Now from here, you have a lot of different close quarter techniques. You can use headbutts, elbows, you can use knee strikes. There's a variety of different things, including the Widowmaker program or the raising methodology, which is something I'm going to cover in a few minutes. So just understand that if he does fall into you, he does grab hold of you, you want to acquire, again, the inside position here, not on the outside position, because I'm going to have maximum control. Now, when delivering that finger jab in the punching range, again, I don't want you guys to deliver the strike and wait to see what happens. You should go in with your secondary strike and try to arrest it before it becomes a grappling situation. But just be prepared in case he does rush through, crashes through, gets a hold of you, be prepared for the next stage of assault. Now, when teaching you the finger jab, there's some subtleties and nuances I want you guys to keep in mind. First of all, we never deliver like a spear hand rigid into the eyes. It's not like that. First of all, it's going to slow down the technique. The key component of a finger jab is it needs to be non-telegraphic and it's got to be lightning fast. So the hand should be semi-relaxed. You don't want the hands to be rigid. We also aim for the bridge of the nose, okay? Do not aim for a specific eye. And you only need to get one finger in one eye and you're golden. So from here, we want to aim for the bridge of the nose and we want to retract it. Again, the key in the pre-contact stage of self-defense is to use dialogue, what we call disingenuous vocalization. We want to lower his guard, bring his ego up. And at that moment of opportunity, while we're talking, or even when we're using a pattern interrupt, I talk about that all the time, that is when you can exploit him. And from here, we launch that finger jab right into the eyes. And again, aim for the bridge of the nose, let the fingers naturally bifurcate, get one finger in one eye, and you're good to go. The next eye attack technique is the eye rake. Now, this is exclusive to the Widowmaker program, which is unique to my contemporary fighting arts system, more specifically, the raising methodology. Now, Tommy and I are engaged in close quarter combat, CQC range. We're no longer in that punching range, so we are not going to be using that finger jab. So in this position here, I have an anchor. I'm basically stabilizing Tommy's neck with one hand. That allows the utilization of this hand to begin the eye rake. Now, the Widowmaker raising methodology is not something I could show you in one video, or two videos, or three videos. It is a complete combat methodology. But I'm just going to give you little glimpses of what it is, okay? So from here, there are a variety of different techniques I could throw at Tommy. For example, I can deliver a palm jolt. I can do that eye rake. I can do a shaving forearm. I could do a short arc hammer fist. Now this is done rapidly, viciously, to the point where there's cognitive shutdown on my adversary. But what I'm going to do is just take one tool, one technique, the eye rake, out of that entire methodology and just show you how effective it is. So an eye rake is just a simple motion. The economy of motion here is wonderful. It's just a simple, maybe 1-inch movement that you're going down, you're raking down the eyes. Now, you have to compound this technique. You can't just do an eye rake and again, he's vanquished. It doesn't happen. If you're learning anything about eye attacks, they have to be followed up. So in this case, if I was using, for example, the raising methodology and I rake Tommy, the probable reaction dynamic from this is his head's going to go down. And this is based on personal experience because I have used this method of fighting. So when I do this eye rake, his head comes down. The best technique to follow up is a shaving forearm. So from here, it comes straight up against the side of the face. Now from here, this point here, I'm going to go down. There's your hammer fist right down to the bridge of the nose. This is volatile, it is vicious, it's something that I cannot even begin to tell you how effective it is in a real combat situation. So to demonstrate this, we're going to use the body opponent bag. Now it's important to give you one caveat about the body opponent bag. It does not give you the probable reaction dynamics that a human would. So when I perform an eye rake, the head is not going to be going down from the force of that. So just keep that in mind, okay? But I'm going to force the technique just so you can understand how they seamlessly integrate. So from here, we're going to deliver the eye rake. Now, after that, we're going to follow up with the shaving forearm. After that, we're going to come down with this hammer fist. From here, we're going to deliver a palm jolt. And again, here we are again with the eye rake. The beautiful thing about this is it's completely organic. It's all predicated on how this adversary reacts to the initial strikes. But because I've done this for so long and because I've actually applied this in real combat situations, I can tell you how the probable reaction dynamics will occur. You rake the eyes, the head is going to go down. You follow up with the shaving forearm, the head reels back. When you deliver that short arc hammer fist to the bridge of the nose, his head comes down again. From here, you've got the hand lined up for the perfect palm jolt. Now here you are again for that eye rake. The eye rake is a phenomenal compound attack technique within this raising methodology. And again, what's really awesome about this is the economy of motion. And when you have that adrenaline surge, you're using gross motor skill. We're not using fine motor skill here, guys. So that gross motor skill is going to work perfectly in this circumstance. When performing the eye rake, it's important that your fingers remain rigid, which is antithetical to the finger jab, which your hands are more relaxed. Just remember, your hand is like a rake and you're raking this lawn. Now listen, it's important to also strengthen your fingers and your forearms and your grip strength. And I talk about this a lot in my War Machine program. You need to get into the gym, you need to work those forearms, you need to get a hand gripper and really work on strengthening these. These are your weapons, guys, very important. The next technique I'm going to show you is a double thumb gouge. Now this is classified as a 0 beat technique in my beat system of the Widowmaker program. Now, this can only be used and should only be used in a deadly force situation where your life is on the line. And the reason being is you are going to permanently blind this individual, okay? And that carries severe legal consequences. Remember that. When performing the double thumb gouge, here are some important things to keep in mind. First of all, when delivering the technique, you don't want to just passively hold the side of the face. You take your fingers and you bring it behind the ears. You hook them behind the ears. This is your way of stabilizing the technique. You're going to put the palms against the side of the jaw and you're going to drive the thumbs directly into the eyes. Now, when you do this technique, it's important to drive forward, not just with your arms, but your entire body. You're trying to literally go in and dig in this target. Very important that you have this driving action with the body, the hands, and the fingers. Now, why is it really important to get your fingers behind the ears? Because of this. Tommy, come on out. So I'm going to apply the double thumb gouge. I'm going to hook behind the ears and I'm digging those fingernails really into as deep as I can into the ears. Because his probable reaction dynamics when I do this technique is he's going to pull down the wrist. I mean, Tommy, grab the wrist and pull down a little bit. This is, can you feel that into your ears?
That hurts.
Yeah, it's excruciating. So what I'm doing is I'm digging those nails in behind the ears, and as he pulls down, it's driving it into it. It's locking it in. So again, we always have to think about what the probable reaction dynamic will be when you attack the eyes. And in this case, he's going to pull down. Now you're driving in and you're locking in with the fingers behind the ears. It's a vice technique. It really locks in on this individual. Incredibly effective. So Tommy received just about 20% of the force with the double thumb gouge. Tommy, why don't you tell the audience, first of all, a lot of people are going to say, I'll just punch you. He can just punch you when you're applying that double thumb gouge. Tommy, how would you respond to that?
It's impossible. When the hands get locked in behind your ears and you can just feel the slight pressure on your eye socket, all you can think of is to get away. You're not going to be thinking about throwing a punch. It's just going to be, the closest thing you could do is to pull down, but I think it's just going to be sensory overload.
Okay, so he's talking just from a cognitive perspective. What about the kinetic perspective? When I'm actually driving the body forward, he doesn't have the leverage, he doesn't have the balance to throw effective body shots or head shots or anything effectively. When people watch these videos, they always look at it and say, oh, I can do a punch. You can't. You have to experience this to truly appreciate how brutally effective it is in a combat situation. I want to emphasize one more time that the double thumb gouge should only be used in a deadly force situation when deadly force is justified in the eyes of the law. Nothing else justifies using this technique unless it's a deadly force situation. Remember that. Attacking the eyes is a high-level self-defense tactic, one that carries serious consequences. It should only be used when the threat is immediate, unavoidable, and capable of causing death or grave injury. This isn't about ego or winning a fight. It's about survival when nothing else will do. Know the law, understand the risk, and train with purpose. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next video.